welcome to Helix webinar series. Today's session is on CSPs, Operation of the Future, the new service management for telco. We are going to be running this as a global session. This is our first of the sessions today, and joining me today, and delighted to introduce Sarah Kopo, our telco programs lead. We also did have Kapil, but I understand India on holiday today, so we will be covering in his absence. And then we also have Phil Brooks, our executive consultant from the CSP practice from BMC Helix, and David Drum, our senior architect from the CSP practice BMC Helix. Now, before I hand over, I'll just remind you all, if you haven't used Zoom before, there is the Q&A section at the bottom. If you do have any questions during the presentation of the demo, please put them in there. When we're not presenting, we will go through those and answer some of the questions, and then we will have roughly around 15 minutes at the end where we'll take some of your questions live. So I'm just going to remind you, you will be unmuted, but do use the Q&A. I'm now going to hand over to Sarah, who will just start the introductions and get us started. So Sarah, over to you.
Thank you, Sam. Good morning to everybody. Good afternoon. These are the points that we're going to be touching today. So a bit of strategy to know basically where we are coming from. A few minutes on Helix service management for telco, the solution overview, what are the benefits. Then we will have a David doing a live demo to finish with Phil telling us about the migration, how to do a successful migration to Helix service management for telco. Now, as I said, today is about the service management for telco, which I like to define as a telco-grade service management tool for IT and network operations. But before I do that, I'd like to start with a bit of history, because this explains why we are here today. So BMC has been working and partnering with telecom operators since the very early days of GSM. And telecom, we all know, did not start with GSM. It's much older than that. And BMC is older as well. And sometimes, this is one of the few cases when being older is actually a good thing, because being older talks about having experience, having competence. So Remedy is our workflow automation platform, and that became de facto service management tool for nearly 200 operators worldwide. Now, Remedy was incredibly powerful because it allowed operators to customize workflows. And what many telecoms did was to extend the Remedy, let's say, beyond IT, so building their own workflows so they could use it in network operation centers in the NOCs. The challenge, of course, was that the network operations are, as you well know, different from IT operations. And networks are geographically distributed, multi-domain. It's just an order or two of magnitude more complex. So many of our customers ended up with two systems: a clean Remedy instance for IT and a heavily customized. I remember I've been working for telco operators years ago, and we used to call that system as a Frankenstein, the one that we use for the network. The reality is this reality is what drove us to establish, what drove BMC and now BMC Helix to establish a telco practice within BMC Helix. So we sat down with operators, with CSPs, we studied those customizations, and we turned them into out-of-the-box capabilities in this new system, which we're going to talk about today. So the result is BMC Helix Service Management for telco, which is, as I said, a true, and I will probably be repeating it again, a true telco-grade service management solution supporting both IT and network processes, all on one single platform. And, if we zoom out, today we focus on the service management component. It is also important to see where this fits in. since 2015, BMC has been investing in operation management, cloud-native technology, embedding AI, similar, as you can see from the timelines here, similar path of CSPs. In 2019, we launched BMC Helix, this unified platform of bringing service and operation management together. And the service management for telco, as you can see here, is part of that vision. Now, this is a slide that summarizes the vision that drives our telco strategy. Every CSP that we talk to has got three common objectives, which you see here. So improving customer experience, achieving operational excellence, and reaching level 4 of the TM Forum Autonomous Network Framework. Now, TM Forum themselves, they put it very simply. I like this tagline. This is why I put it here: simplify, automate, modernize. So modernization is key here. So you can't really, CSPs can't really get to autonomy with using yesterday's tool. The enablers are AI, Gen AI, now agentic, and they are really required. And they really represent an inflection point where this massive impact can be created by embedding intelligence into our operations for IT and network. And if we look at today's reality, many CSPs operation, look at this curve, many CSP operations are still reactive. So we've got lots of CSPs still. There was actually a report a few months ago done by TM Forum. They are at level like 1, 2, 3. And so operations are still reactive, built around the silos, technology-focused approaches. So that can't really deliver the efficiency and the observability required for tomorrow's network. So with the right foundation, which is this converged service operations enriched by AI, this is now given for granted, CSP can really shift from traditional operations to a service-centric model because, as you know, service is what the customer is consuming. And this is also what we call our strategy operations of the future, where IT, network are managed together, not in silos. And because also this is how services are delivered to customers. And this is... And it's this vision that underpins BMC Helix for telco. And this is what I mean when I say BMC Helix for telco. So this is the platform itself. So in BMC Helix is designed as a service ops platform. This is the name that we use to define it, which, as I said, it means service management and operation management are not separate disciplines anymore. They work together seamlessly. For CSPs, we believe that convergence is critical, breaks down barriers between IT operations and network operations, and provide that key end-to-end visibility across both domains. Well, I always think, customers, CSP customers, and I'm one, like all of you, don't care whether an issue is from IT application, from a network element. They only experience a problem on the service. And Helix gives operators, CSPs, that same service-centric view. So service management for telco is a component of our platform, and this is what we are going to look at now. So now let's take a closer look at what makes our Helix service manager for telco like a telco-grade tool. As I said, we designed the solution with the CSPs aligned to ITIL, of course, but also ITOM, TM Forum, ODA, Open Digital Architecture. So it could support IT workflows, but also convergence between IT and network operations in a single platform, meaning, again, fewer silos, more automation, faster resolution, if you think about incident management. We have organized the capabilities, which David is going to show you in a couple of minutes, in basically two main areas. One is around operational efficiency, agility. This is really about making the NOC teams and operations more effective with less manual effort. We've got alarm management, where I can see all the alarms related to a single incident in one view. I can perform actions on those alarms. Ticket prioritization, where I can prioritize incidents, using different attributes, much better way, more flexible to set the priority, the way incidents are prioritized. Work orders, tasks, we know this in a network environment, work orders are generally dispatched to us field services management tool. And there have to be more details in terms of information, that are passed to the field engineer. And also in terms of like a status around, what is the actual status of that work orders? The field engineer may be driving to the site, he needs to get access to the site and so on. Very important, GPT-enabled change management. David is going to show you that. And this is really bringing the intelligence into assessing the risk of a change. This also includes the ability to take a mock document and then let them summarize. An agent can also do that and populate the CRQ. The second bunch of capabilities is customer service disruption management. This is really focusing from what is broken to who is impacted. And this is done with impact analysis. This is what I call a super capability, because it's used by other capabilities. Like, as an example, the change management can also use impact analysis to understand the impact coming from a change. Also very important, fostering collaborations and notifications. If something goes wrong, I prefer personally bad news to bad surprises. So rather knowing as a customer of the CSP when something has gone wrong than finding out by myself. SLA management, very important. The ability to really get use as a work toward the most stringent SLA, define the priority of a ticket based on the SLA, which, if breached, will cause the CSP paying penalties. So, and before giving the word to David, just really a couple of minutes on agent. This is really, as we said, an important aspect which underpins the whole platform. Agentic has become a buzzword in telco. Okay, I remember listening to TM Forum webinars. The first webinar on Gen AI was October 2024. May 2025, a few months ago, first webinar on agentic, how telco are approaching agentic. And there was someone saying agentic is really the inflection point that CSPs have been waiting for. I'm just quoting, in the CSP's AI journey. This is when they believe it can finally, AI can finally be used to generate a massive impact on the business. So agentic is important to telcos, and for us is an integral part of an enabler of our BMC Helix platform, and of course also of service management for telco. And again, agentic is not only having a chatbot, but it's really having an assistant that perform actions. And at the platform level, BMC, as you can see, has embedded a fleet of agents across Helix to tackle the most common high-impact tasks, both in IT and network operations, extending, amplifying the workforce and reducing the repetitive, the manual work. And if we take a service management, this becomes really very powerful. The agent, and we have got like a more kind of like a general purpose agent, but we also have agents which are like more specific to telco, which you see highlighted in the slide. As an example, explaining an agent that explains the impact of an outage, or if understands if a problem that is behind multiple incidents, what the problem is and how to fix the problem to avoid future incident. And so that's why we say agentic isn't just a feature of Helix, it's really a foundation of the strategy. And with that, I'm going to give the word or pass it to David for his demo. David, is to you.
Okay, thank you, Sarah. So today we're just going to run through, starting off with incident management, a quick demo flow just to explain exactly what we're doing within the service management platform, where we're utilizing some of our extended capabilities specific to network operations, but also just more generally how we're applying our service management technology into this domain. So what I'm going to start off doing is just running you through the standard life cycle of the FMS, creating that ticket, or creating those alarms into the Helix platform. Of course, here we do have our service ops offering, which gives us extended capabilities, but we're fully aware that often we have to come in and integrate within the existing OSS ecosystem and connect into these tools. So what we want to do is bring that enhanced visibility from the start of the process. So what I'm going to do now is just kick into an environment and actually start our journey here from a Teams session. So we're just going to have a check here around what's the latest incident within our environment. Once we've seen that, what we really want to start doing is interacting with that request as well. So this is once we start seeing some details of this and details of the issue that's being raised, we can also ask our agentic agent who can help with this issue. The system will then look at previous incidents that are appearing in the system, see who's been either assigned those requests or has been involved in a resolution, and provide us some further information about those as well. And obviously we can start a chat with those team members if that is the right approach here. Right now, I don't want to bring those in, but I do want to make sure that everyone knows that I'm going to start work on this ticket. So I'm just going to let it know that I'm starting to investigate the issue. And then we'll jump straight in and have a look at that ticket within the environment as well, once that work log has went through. Okay. So this is now the incident as it's kind of passed through into the ticketing system. I'll just make sure we do a quick refresh there as well to make sure that we've got the latest information with everything running as expected. So what we've got here is a TMF 621 generated trouble ticket, but with a bunch of associated information that comes in alongside that request. So as soon as that incident has been created, we do have new prioritization logic that Sarah mentioned a little earlier in the system. So this is looking at details of the incidents. That could be some of your categorization information, location, region-based, domain-based information, combining that with the CI enrichment that we've brought into the solution as well with some of our extended CNDB classes and attributes, again, specific into the, to give it additional telco network context. And then combining that when there's an alarm with the primary alarm details so that we can auto-generate a priority within the system that's much enhanced over our standard service management offering. The other things that we're bringing in is an additional panel up in this top right-hand side, which talks about our related alarms. And this is a new concept we've brought into the Helix platform because we've seen a lot of our customers have customized in this direction. What you don't want to do is have all your alarms correlated in your existing FM tool and then cut a ticket with a cut down amount of information about that. You want to bring that context into your incident investigation. So we have aligned this to the TM Forum alarm schema. Of course, it's extensible as well, as well as the TMF API, that's fully extensible. But what this allows us to do is really see what are the grouped alarms that have been brought together from a correlation perspective, and then also identify that primary alarm, make sure we're associating all the CIs that have been correlated together. So when we then do our impact analysis, we're not doing it off a single CI, we're doing it off everything that we currently understand about that incident. Within this alarm management or alarm console area, we do also have capabilities to change the focus of the incident. So that's in a scenario where the correlation logic has suggested a causal or synthetic alarm. We can tweak that. This is potentially the first time there's human eyes on that correlation logic, and therefore, sometimes, not always, humans can make better decisions than the algorithms and machine learning in the background. We do also have the option up here to split an incident as well. So as our correlation logics, both within Helix and within other fault management providers become more aggressive as it starts to understand more knowledge, tries to correlate more and more together, we do also need the feedback loop. And again, because this is really often what we're seeing now is the ticketing solution is the first point of human interaction, there's this ability here to split that incident. It will then separate that out, create a relationship, pass the information back to the FMs, but then handle them as two separate incidents with different SLAs and all those kind of things as well. The other things we have within the alarm console is when there's updates to these alarms, we can then control the resolution of the incident via some of our automation configuration. That can look at things like are all alarms cleared? Is our primary alarm cleared? Do we need to also consider if there's tasks that are active at this point in time? If we know there's a field dispatch, often what we see is the engineers on site, they're performing activities, they may be clear an alarm scene. What will resurface is we don't necessarily want to resolve that incident and do all those customer notifications telling them their service is restored. So we just brought in a control mechanism there. Again, it's fully configurable within the solution, how we utilize that. Some other areas that are slightly different to the way our standard service management IT product is set up is we have the ability down here to also bring in related parties and source information. These are TM forum concepts that the Helix organization have embraced. Related parties is all around, we know there's a lot more convergence, not just between IT and networks, but within network operations between the different domains. So how can we ensure that we maintain the security in the system, still stick to our very well-maintained row-level access policies, different groups and different levels of membership, who gets access to what, that also allow the nimbleness within the solution to add additional groups and parties into the request. When we do this, they then get access to the full detail of the request, and then they're still controlled in the same way they would be as if they were the assignee into the actual activities they can undertake within the ticket. Similarly, over this side, we have our source information. So this is a TM forum concept that instead of sharing data and replicating that data across multiple systems, what we want to be able to do is just share references. That's also really important from a security perspective as well, around how we can make sure that the access to particular files or particular information is controlled by the source system, following security best practices as well. Okay. Other things that have happened on submission of this incident, and all of this is happening before anyone's really touched the ticket. We've obviously brought in all those alarms. We've made sure that those CIs are related to our incident. And what we've actually done in the background is kicked off an automated impact analysis and then related those impacted services directly to our incident. And the reason we do that is because we want to make sure that process of converting the resource trouble to actually a customer service impact and being able to inform out to customer operations, so we can either set up IVR call deflections or proactive customer notifications, is as quick and as smooth as possible. So sorry, I've just got to move the presentation window a little bit. What we also want to do, though, is bring the impact analysis into the context of your organization. So Sarah mentioned a little bit earlier around our customer service disruption management, our ability to execute impact analysis, but how do we bring that context into your organization so that it uses your terminology and also reflects a real world customer impact. So this is just an example here. This is all utilizing information within the CMDB, attributes of those impacted CIs, making sure we understand, from an impact perspective, what services are at loss of service, which are degraded because there's resiliency in the network. And this impact analysis also allows us to understand with some of the constructs that we've brought in around additional CMDB classes that are aimed at telco network operations, we're still maintaining the CDM class structure. So if you have invested in that model or added custom classes to that, the impact analysis engine will consume your CMDB as is. And we can obviously then tweak the engine, or I shouldn't say tweak, we can configure the engine so that we make sure that we have an understanding of which classes we should reflect as service classes, and therefore bring that into some of these summarization of impact analysis as well. Okay. Once we've done all of this and we've actually then, we've understood what the impact is in relative layman terms, obviously with technicality in there as well. We've got all our impacted CIs related to our incident down here. What we also need to make sure happens is that we bring in that customer context, the service context into the request. And what you'll see up here is actually our ability to look at the high priority mobile cells. So what this has done is it's looked at that impact list, and there's a whole bunch of resource and customer facing services down here. And it's actually identified there's an impact to some high priority mobile cells based off the related CIs. So this isn't information that's static and set in the instant. We're actually looking into the associated information and then making sure we associate that correct SLA into the request so that we are prioritizing our resolutions properly, but are also fully aware of the need where there's there's a very, very high priority customer, whether that's something we call a VVIP, a Royal, a Ferrari site, however we want to term it. How do we expedite those resolutions so that we focus on the resolutions that are having most impact to the business, rather than just those that look like they have the highest impact count, or they have they're in a particular location that we view as priority but don't fully understand that impact logic, and therefore we're actually prioritizing our resources inefficiently. Okay. And that's just an extension of the existing SLM engine. We've just added improvements to it along the way, so that we can maintain this capability at the scale of network operations as well. And of course, we're more than happy to help customers come on this journey with us as well. Within the incident, we also have the standard abilities that we've always had around task dispatch. So Sarah spoke a little earlier around some of the field service scenarios that we touch into as well. Is this going to load up for me as I click through? Sorry, I think my environment's slowed down ever so slightly. Let me just give it a good quick refresh to make sure that we're fully authenticated. It's been sat in the background just for a little while here. So I'm just giving it the opportunity to wake up and catch up with us. Let me just give that a quick double refresh. There we are. We're coming back to life now. Okay, so we're going to go in and look at some of our templates here. We're just going to do a field dispatch. Field tech. That needs to do there, field tech dispatch. So let's go in and create that new task. And what we just want to showcase here is a couple of abilities that we've brought into the solution that are particularly focused on how can we make sure that we have the right level of understanding around what's happening at the field service layer. Knowing that we often do integrate with field service management solutions, and there's certain bits of information that we've realized are important to our customers to make sure this information is exchanged back into the solution. Making sure that things like where that field engineer is, what's the progress in the activity. So just because the engineer has accepted the activity doesn't necessarily mean that they're currently on site or they're traveling to site or actually at the equipment. Sometimes there's access issues and things like that. So we've made changes just within this task management module to try and address as many of those common scenarios as possible. One of the first areas we saw we needed to address was around, just with the scale of telco, we have so many CIs, often millions of CIs in our CMDB, that when we transition through to the task layer, we need to make sure that we make it as simple as possible for people to associate the correct CI to that incident. So what we've done here is just added an additional option so that users can now select the CI from the parent ticket, so we can get directly down and deal with what we want to a lot quicker, rather than make it, relying on people to remember the right name in terms of that CI that they're really trying to dispatch it out into the field. When we do that, we then enrich the ticket with location information about that CI as well, so that we're driving users towards a faster dispatch process. And one of the things that we also recognize is, although we may have a location for a task, often there's nuance to a particular activity that we may need to inform. There may be agreements on how to get access. There may be some work that the centralized operations or dispatch team are doing that they need to then inform down to the field team, so that they can get access to that piece of equipment or to that location. So we do make this address now fully editable. This will not affect your foundation data. So that's kind of managed by the administrative team, so that we keep that as a golden data set. But we do have the ability for this particular task only just to add additional details into this address context, so that our engineers can deal with that fault as quickly as possible. I won't go through a full task process because I know we're limited on time, and there's some follow-up items that we also want to make sure we cover. But we do want to highlight just when we're within certain statuses within the system, then we do get additional sub-status reasons made available to us as well, where we can actually track, where that engineer is, all those common interactions. So have they started traveling to the site? Have they arrived at the site? Have they arrived at the equipment? And then we can also consider that in some of our resolution logic as well, as important kind of indicators of the progress of that resolution. And often we also use that to work out, how do we contact an engineer? If they're traveling to site, then we normally fall back to needing to notify them via an IVR type integration. Other times where they're already on site, we may leave them to finish that work before allowing the alarm clears to propagate towards an incident resolution. Other times it may be send them different types of notifications so that they know what's the current state of the incident without having to come back into the solution. Okay, so that was a bit of a whistle-stop tour through incident. What I'm going to do now is just quickly touch into change management, just to show you a couple of the areas that we've made some recent improvements to. Again, particularly driven out of our telco network operations requirements that are coming from both our design partners and our wider customer base, in providing feedback that's now really driving our product roadmap. So if I just go into here, I'll just quickly create a Vera template, just because I want to show a couple of very, very specific use cases when we come through to actually how do we deal with change management in a telco grade environment. So let me just try and make sure this comes through submitted. Otherwise, we'll just go in and pick up a different a different change from within the solution. Let's just come back here. Ooh. Okay, perfect. So one of the areas that we've made a change to fairly recently was around how can we relate configuration items. We know that within network operations, a lot of the time these changes undergo an awful lot of planning, normally before they come to logging it as a change request in the system. So what we wanted to do is make sure that we know this change is already planned. How can we make this as seamless as possible? So we've added this ability here to upload a file within the solution. What this now allows us to do is via Excel, CSV, or JSON, be able to drop a file into the system. The system will then validate the content of that file, do lookups within the CMDB, and allow us to associate those CIs directly to the change request, so that we can bring this process a lot smoother, rather than relying on users coming in and manually searching for CIs, either in multiples or one by one, which can be a very, very cumbersome process. So that's one area that we've made improvements on. And then similar to the revised logic that we've brought into incident management around our impact analysis capabilities, we also expose those same capabilities within change management. So now within Change, you have the option of utilizing the regular Atrium Impact Simulator, if that's a tool that you're using today. However, if you require additional performance or some of the additional kind of calculation logic that sits within the network impact analysis, that's something that we're supporting within change management. So then you can have a consistent approach across both change and incident. One of the things that we are also looking to bring in an upcoming release that Sarah mentioned a little earlier was around our GPT or document-based change, sorry, not GPT, MOP or document-based change creation. So our approach there is to make sure that the detail that's within the MOP is normally significantly more that gets populated in the change. And we've actually seen with some of our early adopters of our horizontal agentic capabilities like the Change Risk Advisor, is actually held back by users not inputting enough detail into the change. So with our document-based change creation process, what we'll be allowing is users to come drop a document, an MOP, a very detailed document into Helix. Helix will then utilize GPT models to populate the change fields, avoiding rekeying, avoiding laziness within the user base to populate that change properly. And then we can really utilize a lot of our other capabilities within the platform to make sure things like collision detection are working. The scheduling is auto-populated. Our Change Risk Advisor has much more detail about the changes within the system, both successful and not, and it can really build a much clearer picture around what is the associated risk to this kind of activity. So I know that was a very whistle-stop tour around exactly what we're doing with the telco extensions within incident and change. Obviously, there's an evolving roadmap here as well, and we always welcome customer input to this. And if there are any questions, we're more than happy to follow up on those within the Q&A section towards the end of this session, or we can follow up post the session if anything comes up at a later time. Back to you, Sarah. Sarah or Phil, you're both on mute at the moment.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, sorry, guys.
Yeah, that's right, no problems. Okay, so thank you for that, David. So I'm going to just talk briefly about the operational transformation side of this. So I think, as David said, I think we've got a pretty good story now, some good capabilities from a product standpoint. But at the end of the day, it's all about how do we use these new capabilities to drive transformation. So many of our customers, and there's probably over 200 major telcos that are using the BMC technologies in both IT and network operations. Many of our customers actually are already have embarked on this journey to Helix Service Management for Telco and ultimately to autonomous network operations. While the goal for them is autonomous network operations, the drivers for starting this journey can be quite varied. So it could be that recently there was an end of version for a major release or major version that became end of version support in February earlier this year. So that became almost a catalyst for our customers to move to a newer version and therefore go on this service management for telco journey. Key things there is, of course, that being out of support provides some security exposure, and that also could be quite a serious thing from a regulatory and a contract compliance point of view. So sometimes that has actually created a catalyst within the organisation to get on these journeys. But for many customers, it's all about this journey to autonomous operations. Now that can be the starting point could be platform modernisation and adoption of industry standards. So I think, as many of you will know, TM Forum is the key industry body now driving this sort of journey to autonomous operations and the open digital architecture standards. So that also is quite a key theme for many of our customers. And ultimately, that is about driving operational efficiency and effectiveness in operations. For our other customers, as we know, the telco marketplace is quite quite dynamic in terms of mergers and acquisitions. So many of our projects around the world are a result of, let's say, a mobile operator and a fixed line operator merging to become one CSP provider. And then they would have their own respective systems. Many of them will actually have BMC. I think BMC has a long heritage in telco, so quite often these operational convergence driven transformation projects are about combining not only their operations into one sort of single operational domain, but then retiring perhaps multiple legacy remedy systems and other non-BMC systems into a single system. And so that becomes part of the transformation catalyst, if you like, for these journeys. The other one is that service transformation. So some of our customers are highly focused on overhauling their service assurance practices and tools, usually part of a wider program involving consolidation and modernization of other OSS tools. And usually, if it's a service transformation focused journey, then there's a much higher focus on the adoption of AI capabilities such as Gen AI and now, of course, agentic AI. So lots of reasons that our customers are going on these journeys, but ultimately they're all trying to end up in the same place, which is autonomous network operations. And of course, everything you've heard from Sarah and David just now, the BMC product roadmap is totally aligned to that journey. So we're tackling things at the beginning of these journeys in terms of being able to support, let's say, IT and network operational processes to create one way of working. We are supporting it in terms of being able to combine multiple legacy systems. We're supporting it in terms of understanding and working with the different LSS, BSS environments, but through the adoption of Team-informed standards, so making it easier to create interoperability between the different systems and processes. So all through these stages, we're looking very closely and working closely with our customers, to understand how, from a product standpoint, we can support this. Do you want to turn the slide, Sarah? Oh, you have done. Sorry. Now, one of the ways we help our customers go on this journey is we've created a specific customer success service, which we call the CSP advisory service. Now, customers can get access to this service using their customer success entitlements. So, of course, talk to your account manager about that. The approach is, and one of the things we've said at the beginning is that we've created a vertical practice within BMC called the CSP practice. So what will happen is that these consultants are specialists. They're working, of course, with CSP customers around the world. They will have experience and knowledge around Team-informed standards. They'll understand the lingo, if you like, in telcos. And basically, these consultants will come in and run a series of workshops to understand current ways of working and existing capabilities across the BSS and OSS landscape. And essentially, what this enables us to do is to propose a transformation journey that is specific to a customer. So this will be a journey from, it could be BMC or Remedy Legacy. And when I say legacy, that can be Helix as well, as many customers have got Helix ITSM today. But that's a journey from either sort of custom Remedy or Helix ITSM or even ITSM to the new Helix Service Management Telco product, which, as we explained earlier, is actually Helix ITSM plus the telco extensions. And essentially, the journey that we put together is specific to a customer, and actually, relevant to their particular way of working and where they want to end up in terms of way of working, their adoption appetite of standards, and of course, completely aligned to their particular environments. For most of our advanced customers that have embarked on these transformation journeys, all of them have started with the BMC Helix CSP Advisor Service. This has given them the starting point from a BMC product standpoint, of where to start from. And actually, many of these customers that have started with the CSP Advisor service, have been very, very proactive in providing feedback and ideas to the BMC Helix CSP practice, which of course then is passed on to the BMC Helix product management. Particularly with things like agentic AI now, in terms of new ideas and opportunities to improve operational processes. Then agentic AI offers a lot more now, and I think as Sarah and David have explained, we've already got a lot in the bag already. But all the time, our customers are coming to us and say, "Hey, what about this idea?" And of course, then we work with them to elaborate that idea into something that could be passed back to the product management team. Okay, and this slide here is an example transformation journey slide that we put together as part of the CSP Advisor service. I think as you can see on here, as I've mentioned, the starting point is simplification, modernization, and standardization of processes and systems. That is the starting point. You will note on Sarah's maturity curve that actually is one of the key sort of milestone points before you can really start to move on to the journey to AI and autonomous operations. So simplification and modernization is always the starting point. But then what that does is that then establishes a platform whereby data is harmonized, organized, it's more enriched, it's more meaningful, it creates more meaningful information. That, of course, would support reporting, and I don't think we showed too much about the Helix dashboards, but Helix dashboards is the tool we use for reporting within the platform. So that provides much more information to do the dashboard reporting, but also importantly, is the cornerstone of the AI journey, the AI part of the journey, because without quality data and meaningful information, then our AI becomes a bit more difficult. So this is a typical journey, and of course, as I've already said, we put this within the specific sort of environment of a customer in terms of their processes, their goals, their architecture, their current systems, and of course their appetite for pace of the transformation journey. So I think that's all I wanted to say. Sarah? Okay, so just passing the baton over now to Sam to talk about education. Obviously, there's a lot of things happening here. There's quite a fast-paced roadmap, and what's going to be important for us is we make sure that all our customers have got access to education and are kept up to speed. So Sam, I'll pass over to you.
Thank you. So just a quick recap, obviously everything that's been shared today, we also are aware that from a Helix Telco journey, there is a requirement for education. I actually work with the Helix learning team very closely. We are in transition to get this live in the next couple of weeks. So just to give you a little bit of information on what to expect, I'm not going to read every bullet point, but as soon as this comes available, this training, we will be sharing this out, and I will do that via the thank you email with the link to sign up. I'm actually also very fortunate because we want to get you onboarded as quick as possible. We will apply a discount as well, but I will send that out in due course. So apart from that, Phil, I won't go into too many details, otherwise I'll be reading all the bullets. We will be sharing everything out to everyone post-event today, and that includes any of the questions that come in, also the slides and the recording, and we will be running the second session later today. And if any more questions come in, we will consolidate them together and share them out to everyone. I have, before we just, and I can see we've got a question in the Q&A, I will just let everyone know I did launch a poll. There's a couple of questions that we've sent out. Don't feel you have to fill them in, but the more information you give us, the better. We're always looking to improve. This is one of many webinars we'll be running. We did do some webinars back in May, but conscious that this is still a very new journey for many of you. We'd love to hear your feedback and obviously improving the content next time as well. So I'm now going to just divert us over to the Q&A. I don't know who wants to take the first question, maybe David or Sarah or maybe Phil. Is this a question that you can answer while I start unmuting everyone if they want to talk to us live?
We need to see the question. Where's the question?
Okay. The question is in the Q&A, so it's actually from Dirk, and I'm just going to find Dirk.
Oh, got it, yeah.
Yep, can you see it? So please, he wants to be updated regarding the telco product development since the organisation has ICT and telco applications. They were needing service management for ICT and telco on their deployment for BMC Helix and with Helix GPT. So Dirk, do you want to just give a bit of background?
Yes, thanks, Samantha. So our organization represents both an ICT company as well as a telco company. We are, the telco organization is mostly on CA because of the capabilities that they've developed there. However, we want to migrate them to our BMC Helix solution. And for that to be successful, we need these telco extensions on our deployment. So I'd really like to have some more information regarding that and how we can add that to our current ITSM suite deployment. However, we're not using ITOM because of the, shall we say, specific monitoring systems and solutions that's been deployed within the environment to monitor core networks, the backbone, etc.
Yeah, and then so your ITSM at the moment, is that what version is that? Is that ITSM Helix or is it Remedy ITSM?
It's ITSM Helix SaaS. So we are actually launching the upgrade. We've just launched our service update this week, and we'll be done with that to 25.302 or better by the 9th of November.
Okay.
And then from then we want to start the agentic AI or Helix GPT journey with BMC.
Then Dirk, you're in a great place actually. So 25.2, you've got quite a package of extensions in there. So just so you're aware, it's already deployed, within the environment. So it's literally an entitlement switch on. And then when you do that, then your users will have access to new sort of consoles and forms and the new impact engine, those sorts of things that David was demonstrating earlier. So you're in a great position. Yeah, your journey could be quite short.
Yes, yeah, well, that's what we're hoping for. So who do I talk to get the entitlement switched on? Do I just drop tickets with BMC support?
No, who's your account manager? Sorry, which company are you from? Do you mind me telling? Do you mind saying?
Business Connection in South Africa.
Ah, okay. Well, look, we've got your details, so let me reach out to you after this.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Great.
Thanks, and I'll share the details. Phil, I think I also know the customer success manager in Premier, so we'll connect you to the right people, Dirk.
Thank you, Samantha.
Pleasure. Okay.
Thanks for the
Great
feedback.
question. Yeah, thank you. Any other questions from anyone else? I've given you the ability to speak to us. Don't be shy. We've got a few minutes left.
And anyway, Dirk, South Africa's not in Asia. Did you just get up early this morning?
Yes, always early.
Not that
Everybody
early, Phil.
catches the worm.
They're not that early. They're 1 hour ahead of us.
Two, is it, or one? I'm trying to remember because of the clock changes. When you work global roles, it's very difficult.
South Africa years, I should know. I think is 1 hour, Dirk, right? And then 2 hours when we change the time.
Correct. Yeah.
There you
But I
go.
start early anyway because it's the only time you get something done. Early mornings.
Absolutely. And it's funny, I say to people, you do get a lot of time zones where people would prefer to do their webinars early or they catch the back end of the day. And certainly I get a lot of people from India joining our afternoon calls, which would be 7:30 or 8:30 their time, because it's easier when all the hecticness of home's been done and they've done their day's work. It's crazy.
Yes, exactly. No interruptions.
Exactly.
Dirk, actually, one of the early adopters of the extensions, by the way, is Vodacom.
I know, and that's why I'd really like to catch up. Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right.
Great.
Good. David, you are gonna go to sleep after this call, right? And then wake up for the next webinar, right?
Yes, yeah. Although I've got the British accent, I'm currently in the US East Coast, so I'm gonna catch some sleep now. It's 2 a.m. in the morning, and then I'll be bright and ready for the next session.
Wonderful. Okay, so I'm going to just do one more round so David can go to sleep. Thank you for those that have filled in the telco poll as well. We really appreciate it. If you've got a minute or so to spare, it's a very quick poll. Otherwise, I don't know if we've got any final things that you want to say, Sarah or Phil, or just really on people's telco journey, because I know you're always excited when you get an opportunity to present.
No, just thank everyone for attending, really. I think we're certainly excited. So watch this space.
From my side is kind of like, yes, is a new product, new capabilities, exciting, but really what it is important is what Phil explained in the last few slides. It's really how you do that migration. Okay, kind of like understanding the current customizations, I mean, those bricks that I was showing in my slides, there's many of them. So really understanding the way of working, this is key for a successful migration. And of course, also, the education. I mean, the last part of the webinar was about how to make this adoption successful. I think this is key, and also best practices that Phil has mentioned.